We've all been visiting Grandma, and today is June 11th, 2009, and I'm going to interview her and ask her some questions about her life. First, Mom, where and when were you born?
I was born in Payette, Idaho. My family lived in Weiser, but they didn't have a hospital there. So I was born in Payette, Idaho, and I was born March 2nd, 1944.
1944. And when you were born, did you have any siblings?
I had an older sister, Donna Ray. She was 4 years older than I was. She had dark, curly ringlets, like dark, almost black, and she's just been my best friend since the day we were born, I think.
And what is one of your favorite childhood memories? Tell about going to Grandma and Grandpa Buse's.
Okay. A lot of time in the summertime because Dad and Mom had their own variety store. Mom needed to work and help him keep it going, and so I would get to go to Grandma and Grandpa Buse's in Nampa and spend time in the summer, and they just taught me all kinds of things. We would do irrigation pipes with the old canvas pipes and hook them up, and we'd flood water, and we'd play in the water all day long. Grandma would splash me, and we'd chase each other, and we'd look at all the beautiful flowers. She loved to plant flowers, and she was the best clothes hanger to dry your clothes. She would start in the tiniest thing in the basket, and then it would move up to the biggest. It just looked like a work of art. It was just gorgeous. She just taught me everything I can think I know. I think she taught me she told me stories about our pioneer heritage, and they had a big brass bed in their basement and an old wind-up, what would I call it, Natalie, like a recording thing that you crank.
Like a record player?
We danced to Oh Johnny, and Grandpa and Grandma and I would square dance, and then we'd fall on this big feather bed and just laugh and laugh. And she had a beautiful dresser in her bedroom that had a huge mirror, and she'd always sit me there and tell me I was a princess and brush my hair. Everything in her drawers were so immaculately ironed, even her underwear, her handkerchiefs, everything was just beautiful. You'd open a drawer and just think, this is beautiful.
What kind of toys or what kind of games did you like to play as a child?
Well, let's see. We cut out a lot of paper dolls. We liked paper dolls. And when Dad got the store, it was in the old furniture store, so the basement was cut up in sections, and it was decorated like a family room or a living room, and had wallpaper and everything. So we took a lot of our toys to the store, and we set up playhouses, and then we had areas where we roller skated, and then we played paper dolls on the steps, because there was a little bit more light there to go up into the store. But we just had a delightful time. We always had fun together, Donna and I.
When you were old enough to go to school, what school, do you remember the name of your first school? And what was your favorite subject in school?
Well, the first school I went to was in Weiser, and we lived one house away from the school. And it seemed big to a child. You know, it seemed like it was a big, big school. It had lots of wrought iron railing stuff around, and we rode our bikes over there when it wasn't school time. And I remember Donna talking me into putting my tongue on the frozen thing one time, and then we couldn't get my tongue off, so she had to go get Mom. It was pretty funny, but it hurt a little. But we played there. We had lots of little friends in our neighborhood that we just all played at the schoolyard, swing and stuff.
Did you have a best friend growing up?
Well, when I think it was probably first grade through fourth grade, there were three of us, which doesn't always work, but one of them was Renee Hand, and the other one was, I can't think of her name. Anyway, we were a threesome and we played after school, and mostly we just played skip rope, and we liked to be outside. We played outside a lot. We didn't play indoors.
How old were you when you got your first TV? Do you remember?
Gosh, let's see. It would have been when we moved to Ontario, and I think I was in fifth grade. That I can.
Do you remember what programs you liked to watch? Was there something that was fun that you waited for?
I don't know if that was that very time period, but I know as a family, we watched Lawrence Welk a lot, because Dad was musical and liked that. And he'd put our feet on the top of his feet and he'd dance around with us. That was fun. It seems like, was there Leave It to Beaver or one of those?
Could have been.
I kind of think we watched that. We didn't watch a ton of TV. We were just outside kids more.
Did you ever have a pet?
We had lots of cats. Lots and lots of cats.
And I think I asked you before, what was your favorite subject in school, or did you have one?
Oh, I had a favorite subject when I got older. I loved biology. It was my very favorite class in all of school.
And you said Grandpa was musical. Did you play any musical instruments?
I did. He taught me how to play the clarinet when I was probably in third grade. And I used to play at church a lot. They would ask me to play like a sacrament meeting, play a hymn or something, or if there was something for young women, I played it there. Then when I was in high school.
Where did you move to when you were in high school?
When I was turning to go into ninth grade, we moved to Boise, and my dad taught me, well, the keys are the same, but he let me play his saxophone, and it was a cherished Selmer saxophone that just scrolly and beautiful. And every day my band teacher would say, ask your dad if I could buy it from him, and so I had to carry it home every day so nobody would steal it. But I liked being in the marching band for 1 year, and then I did the drill team, and that was fun too.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I wanted to be. I was studying to be early education with speech therapy minor. I just wanted to help little children that had speech impediments, and just thought that would be a gift to give them, that they could communicate better.
Did you have a favorite music group growing up?
Well,
Or what kind of music did you like to listen to?
the only music that came to my mind when you said that was Teen Angel. I don't even know who sang that. And of course later the Beatles was everybody's favorite. So.
Did you have a favorite vacation spot that your family would go to, or do you remember a favorite trip that you took?
Well, when we were young, my dad would rent a cabin in McCall, Idaho. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think we stayed a whole month. And then his parents would come up, and then my mom's parents would come up, and then cousins and everything. And Mom just stayed there with us girls. And we played on that lake day and night, floating on you know, all kinds of things. That was really fun. That was a good vacation.
Did you have a favorite actor or actress growing up? Did you like to go to movies?
I liked Sandra Dee. I liked, I can't think of any other movies. Fabian, was he a movie star
Did you
or a
like,
singer?
it seems like you used to like Rock Hudson.
Rock Hudson was one of my favorite, yeah. Donna and I used to subscribe to just a little magazine, and we'd cut all the movie stars' pictures out, and we had those bedroom windows that kind of hung out from the top, and we'd cover them all over with our favorites. So we weren't much different than girls are today, I guess.
Tell us about your baptism day, what you remember.
What I remember about baptism day was it was in Weiser, Idaho, and we lived quite a ways from the church, but we always walked. But this was it must have been on a Friday or a Saturday night, because my dad had to play for a dance. He had his own dance band, and so the time just kept going and going, and he didn't get to be there. He had to leave. So Peggy was just a baby, and Mom carried her, and then Don and I just walked home. But I was baptized by, just a young boy in the ward. And then my mom put one of Peggy's diapers on my head like a scarf, because I was dripping wet. And we walked home in the dark. And I just remember thinking that I had felt the Spirit. I had felt it as a little tiny child. And I remember thinking in primary they'd kind of prepared us for baptism. And my feet wouldn't touch the floor. I was real tiny, and they just kept saying, someone's going to have to hang on to you when they baptize you. We'll lose you down there. But I didn't get lost. They hung on to me good.
What's your favorite memory of high school days or when you were a teenager?
I think it was the best time of my life, because we had 15 girls and boys my very age, and we ate lunch together at school. We took a lot of classes together. We always went to the Saturday night dances together, and we just held on to each other. And if anybody started to think that they were going to be rebellious, we just wouldn't, we would just help them through it. And they're still dear friends to me, most of them that I grew up with. We laughed and giggled and just had wonderful times. I remember Tony Clayton and I got a crush on the Jepson twins one time. And their mom and dad were really strict, and they could only go on a date if they had passed off a merit badge. But not only that, they couldn't date the same girl twice in a row. So we had to set it up so that when it was something we really wanted to do, that we got to get them. But we always had fun with them. I think dancing was like our biggest thing we did. We danced, we just went to dances all the time. And there was even a show on Saturday. It was kind of like, what would it be like Saturday, that the teenagers come and dance on it. And I did that a lot. And I remember it shocked me one time when I went to a big stake dance. This girl came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, my dad says you're his favorite on the dance thing. He watches you every Saturday. I thought, I hadn't even thought about anybody watching us. We just had fun.
When was your first date and who did you go with?
Oh my goodness. We dated way too young. That was before the prophet. I think I was 12 years old. And I went to a formal dance, if you can imagine, with a boy named Johnny Fogg. His dad was a pharmacist, and anyway, it's just what we did. We dressed up in formals, and it was kind of like a golden green ball. I
Oh.
would think in today's world that's what you would compare it to. But it was way uncomfortable. I was way too young. I came home and said I'm never gonna do that again. So there's wisdom in the prophets saying, Dave, when you're older.
Where did you go to college?
I went to college at BYU, and let's see, that would have been 1962 that I entered college. Tony came with me, Kathleen called, and we were roommates the first 2 years, and we just had a great time.
So how did you meet Dad?
Well, this isn't going to be too surprising, I guess. I think it was at the Smith's Family Living Center. Maybe it was Wednesday afternoon, they had a mat dance, and I went there and met him there.
How long did the two of you date before you were engaged?
Let's see. Probably, we dated a semester and then got engaged, at the end of that next semester. So.
And what were your goals when you first got married? What did you two want to accomplish?
Well, you have to realize we were pretty young, so.
How old were you when you got married?
I think, let's see, I was going, or did I just turn, I had just turned 20, and he was probably 21, so, kind of immature and kind of young, but, the first goal, we had such a love for dancing and for football, BYU football, that our goal was we were gonna have a football team. And when we had the 4 cheerleaders and the one team member, we thought maybe we better rethink the plan. But the one big goal that we always said that we would do was we liked to hike and we liked to camp and stuff, so they had BYU programs that you could come back, later as not students, and you could take your family on these big camp out things that, they were chaperoned, but they would teach you how to hike and teach you all these things, and that was just a huge goal. We thought the day will come when everybody can walk and everybody can climb, and we'll just go and do a big adventure exploring the mountains. So, and of course, our biggest goal was to live the gospel and have everybody with us at the temple and everything. But those were just kind of silly goals.
Yeah. Who was at your wedding?
Actually, I think just my roommate and Jim's roommate were our witnesses. Neither of our parents were, members. My dad wasn't a member, and his parents were not members. And Don and Earl were going to come, but they had just had torn or were going to have torn or something. Anyway, it just didn't work out, so we just went. Kathleen Call was my witness. She was my friend from the time I was probably, I don't know, 3rd grade, probably to 9th grade, and she went on to be my roommate. So she was a good witness, and it was fine. It was a little bit sad when we came out and saw all the families together, and then there was just us. But we just thought, well, we're going to be the pioneers in our family, and we're going to help everybody else get to the temple. So it wasn't that sad.
How long did you wait to have children, and how many did you want?
Well, let's see, we waited a year to have Tiffany. Yeah, 65, Tiffany was born. We actually never really had a limit. We just thought, you have to be healthy as a mom, and you have to be all of that. But kind of a goal was 9.
Oh,
We kind
wow.
of thought we'd have 9.
Where did you make your first home? Where did you live
I mean, when we first got married,
when you first got married?
we just lived in a tiny, tiny apartment because we both worked. Someone had taken their basement apart, and actually, you had to walk all the way through the shower to get to the toilet. It was just all choked up of apartment. And excuse me, when Grandma and Grandpa Beers came to see it for the first time, they cried. Said, "What on earth are you thinking?" It was all that fit in one of the bedrooms was just a bed. You just walked in, and there was no room to walk anywhere else. And the kitchen was just a little strip that had a little teeny table, and there was just a little hot plate to cook on, but we weren't there very much. We both worked and went to schools, so it was fine. It was adequate.
When you had Tiffany, how did you feel about being a mom?
Oh, it was the most exciting thing on earth. I just waited and waited and folded all those clothes 100 times and washed them and had them already in the drawer. And in those days, you really didn't know, what it was going to be, so you didn't have that advantage. But when she was born, your dad said that he had been on a business trip to New York, and he had this little bag from Tiffany's jewelry, and he had a little necklace for her, and he was just thrilled. We hardly ever put her down. We just watched every smile she took, and she was fun. It was good, and then it made us excited to add more, because we just thought, oh my gosh, if one can do this, and what a cute personality she had.
What has been your favorite memory of Tiffany now that you look back on the years, or how would you remember her?
Well, I think I could know that I could always count on Tiffany. She's solid as a rock kind of person. She helped me a lot in my life, because I'm not born organized. She really was. Even when she played with toys before she was 2 years old, she either lined them up all by colors or by shapes or by sizes, and that was the way she played. She loved to play like that. She'd come home and say, "Mother, your junk drawer's too junky," and help me. And she'd say very delicately, "One of my roommates' mother does things this way," so she never offended me. I was always looking for some way to be better organized. So I guess that's what I think of her, that was a good help to me.
What about Gretchen? What are some of your memories of her?
Well, Gretchen has a completely different personality, which of course you would expect, but she just smiled all the time, and your dad would sing to her, "Wouldn't you like to ride in my beautiful balloon?" And she'd just clap and say, "Let's go!" Everything was exciting to her, but she could turn on these little eyes. We didn't have much money, and there wasn't, we didn't go buy extra things very often, but if she asked for candy, she always got it. She had a way with her little eyes. She was excited to be a part of life. I mean, just bubbling over, and always, she talked so young and could say absolutely everything and made us laugh all the time. She and Tiffany played dolls a lot. They were good friends.
Okay, what about David? Or some memories of him?
David was one of the harder babies, and it wasn't like it wasn't fun, but I carried him a lot more around the house, and I realized eventually that he was just a very bored baby, and that he just needed tons and tons of stimulus. And so once I realized that and got him down on the floor, he could crawl before he was right about 4 months old. He could crawl and get him in to see what the girls were doing. They had metal doll houses, and he'd get in and play right with them. And he'd scoot down the hall and throw balls in the toilet. And he just was a delightful. I can't ever remember him stop smiling. I remember though that he made me giggle a lot because he'd get something in his head and he just wouldn't get it out, like wearing barrettes to church. Every barrette in the jar he wanted to wear, but those are just fun. He made life complete. It was fun to have a boy. I would just sit there and cry some nights when I'd tuck him in and think, how is it that he knows to have a sweaty car in his hand when the girls are all snuggled up in their dolls? Isn't that amazing that they just come that way? He loved cars and dirt and, whatever, rocks. I'd find all kinds of things under his little pillow. But he did have a little sleeping problem that we were discussing the other day, and he held my hand, I think, for 2 years. Because he had a big red furry bear sleeping bag, and I put him by my side of the bed, and I just hold his hand. And he just had a real hard time sleeping in his own bed for a long time, it seemed like.
Okay, what about Natalie?
Well, Natalie came like an angel from heaven. She was just gorgeous. All the nurses and doctors carried her around and just kept saying, look at this baby. She just had a beautiful aura that just was amazing to me. She got teased a lot by David, but seemed to always bear it okay. I just think that sometimes families get special blessings, and Natalie is mine. She just seems to click and communicate well with me and help me. She's always helped me stay grounded when sometimes I feel crazy. I'm grateful for that. I loved how she loved to get dressed up. She always wanted to look pretty, and her hair was so soft, and she smelled so good. It was wonderful to have her. That was just great.
What about Rebecca?
Well, Rebecca we called the sunshine of our family, because I can't even remember once that little baby cried. She just always, you'd pick her up and away you'd go, and she'd always have a smile on her face. And she just seems to have common sense that keeps her just steady. It's wonderful to watch her be a mom. She reminds me of just a little mother hen with these beautiful chicks following along obediently, and she doesn't raise her voice or being kind to them that I've ever seen, and they just seem to go with the flow. She's a good friend to me. I'm glad she lives near.
What about Jared?
Well, wasn't Jared fun? He was like we always called him, he was the cherry of the cake, on top of the cake. We had the cake all set, but we needed the cherry, and so here came Jared. He was a big baby, hard for me to carry. I was little and he was so big. We called him Chamika. He had these huge legs. I I don't know. I loved how he liked to learn, that he always liked a book in his hand and he would say, read it, read it. And he just made life fun. I don't know how you can say any more than you're the cherry on the cake. It just made me very happy to have him and love him.
So now looking back on life, what advice would you give to new parents? Now knowing what you know now.
I think to new parents, I would say just lighten up. Just, you know, most things that you get upset about aren't even worth anything. You know, in the long range of things, just a child needs to be loved and to be um, nourished with all the positive you can pour into them. And they don't need to be yelled at. It just stifles, they become insecure and it stifles them. They need to be loved and told every day how special they are and the things that you like about them and that the things that you know, can see in their potential, and just keep helping them every day. I don't know. I don't think that you can ever spend too much time with them. It comes back tenfold, and as parents, what else would you want? That's what it's all about, eternity.
What advice would you give to parents of the teenagers?
Just hang in there, I guess. Teenagers are delightful, but they're mixed up and they just need someone to help them, guide them, you know, and they're trying on different people's personalities. They're trying different, the influence of the world today. They think, well, maybe I'd like to be like that. And you just kind of have to ride the waves with them and just keep reassuring them that, you know, it's Heavenly Father's plan and the best thing. You can shine for a couple of years in high school being a star in a game or a sport, but wouldn't you rather shine forever being on God's side? That's what I keep saying, you know, help them see that it isn't so vital to be popular for 2 years in high school. No one even remembers it afterwards, I don't think. But just be kind and just stay on the Lord's side, and that is the true, it is the true way to happiness. So.
If there was something that you would want your children to know or advice that you would give, what would it be?
I think the number one thing that popped in my mind was to always have faith in God and to turn to Him, because it brings you peace. You can get through anything. If you're united with your spouse and your family and you show your faith and your commitment to God, He will pour out blessings that you have no idea. Your mind will be enlightened to think of things that you never thought you would ever know. And you know, you have the right as parents to pray and ask for guidance for them and say, you know, help me see this child as you see them. Because sometimes we get stuck on the ornery things they get stuck in, you know. And so I think just sticking together as a spouse and just every day saying, just even if it has to be conscious of for the first little while, to say, you know, what shall we say today that's, you know, going to help them know that they're loved and cherished, and how can we build them up? And let's just ignore the milk that spills, and let's just ignore the, you know, because everybody spills milk. We can wipe it up. It's clean. We can clean it up, but we can't take back the mean things we say sometimes, and it's just so easy to do that. So that would be my advice: is have faith in God and put your hand in His and trust Him to show you the way. Is that?
Yeah.
Was that?
You have anything else you want?
I mean, I don't know words that could, I don't know how to put it in words that I could say, thank you to all of you. I didn't dream that I would be a single mom, or dream, that wasn't on my dream list, but I think it was the greatest journey I ever had, and I have no regrets for the love. I, of course, wonder why it happened, and hope it wasn't my doing, but I just think sometimes in the worst of things you can find the best, and I hope I chose that. I hope I did, and I just love and cherish you beyond anything on earth. I can't imagine a successful man standing up in front of anybody and saying, I have this much stock and this much stock. It makes me want to jump up and say, but I have the best gifts that were ever given. I have a family I love and cherish, and I put my heart and soul in them, and it doesn't matter if it was 10,000 hours or 100,000 hours. It was all worth it, and I love you all. You have beautiful families, beautiful spouses, beautiful everything, and I just thank you for putting up with me and my silliness as I had to grow up with you. But I just feel happy. I feel at peace that I did what my goal in life is. I did it. I didn't trade it for anything else. I just stuck with it and did it. And even though it seemed impossible to raise that many kids by yourself, just like I said, when you have faith that God holds on to your hand and shows you the way, and that it wasn't that bad. We had more than probably other people had. So is that good? Did I do good?
Yep.
Okay. And you even see me because it's